Hey everyone, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Pokemon Emerald with Dark types was an interesting run where I figured I could win. Let's follow that up with a challenge where I'm like 90% sure it's literally impossible. Today's the day that we figure out would I be able to beat Pokemon Platinum with a team of only Shedinja. Alright, this is going to be an absolute nightmare and I'm sure that you all know why. But for those who don't know what makes this hard, I mean look at the screen. 1 health. Our health is a range from 1 to 1. No matter what, we will always have 1 health. Or, I mean 0 if we get hit. Defense and special defense obviously don't matter at all, and on top of that, we're a bit slow. The only advantage we have are a good attack stat and Wonder Guard, so we can only be hit by super effective moves. So flying, rock, ghost, fire, and dark moves. Any of them will just one-shot us. By level up, we learn very few moves that we really like. Confuse Ray might save us, and I guess that's about it. I guess Shadow Ball is strong, but it's a special move, so really, this moveset is rough. By TM, we have a decent variety, and most of the moves that we care about are here. Aerial Ace, Shadow Claw, and X-Scissor are all moves that we might want at some point. Like always, I'm writing the script as I go through with the challenge, so all this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if I can win or not. No, I probably can't. Bertha makes a sandstorm, and the held item that keeps us from taking weather damage doesn't exist yet, so this very well could be impossible. I have a theory on how I might get past it, but we'll see if I even get that far. Let's explain the rules. In combat, I can only use Shedinja. I'll need other Pokemon to use HMs, but I won't be allowed to use any of those Pokemon in battle. No glitches or exploits, no items in battle, only Pokeballs, held items, and items outside of combat are allowed. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. So right off the bat, I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Turtwig with Shedinja so that we can do the whole run with it. I picked to replace Turtwig so that our rival would have Infernape, probably the hardest for us to fight. I name him Gilberg, since he's pretty frail. Our nature is lonely for more attack and less defense. I had to restart a bunch of times for this. Obviously, we couldn't afford to not raise our attack, and we very much could not afford to lower our speed, so having less defense is fine, that's not going to mean anything. So right away, what you're looking at is an unreal amount of time-lapsed footage. You see, as a Pokemon with only 1 health, we need to be really careful about our effort values if we're ever going to stand a chance. Defense, special defense, and health EVs are a complete and total waste. There's literally no reason to get them, and you have a maximum on EVs, so I can't afford to get them. I don't have the luxury of fighting whatever I want. Junk EVs will ruin this run. If I'm gonna have any chance at winning this, I have to max out my attack and speed EVs. That entails making hundreds of Starlies and Shinx faint. Now normally I think I would have to make about 510 faint. That's 255 of each. But thanks to you guys, we're actually gonna have to only make, I think it's 155 of each faint. I've been doing a series where I do my first time ever playing through Pokemon Ultra Moon with my friends What a Geek and Joe here on this very channel. It's been really fun and you guys have been clearly having a fun time with us, so thank you for that. Well, on the 5th episode, I was talking about ideas for this run on if it's even possible or not. And I asked you guys if I should use the all medicine sheet so that I can max out my effort values with vitamins instead of grinding on Shinx and Starly forever, and you overwhelmingly said yes. Like literally not a single person said no. The reason for it is pretty simple. If I have to actually make 510 Pokemon faint before I start doing the major battles of the game so that we have optimal effort values, we would also be so wildly overleveled that it would make the early parts of the game a lot less interesting. We wouldn't actually know where the brick walls are because we have already leveled past those brick walls. It would make the early game short, boring, and much easier. So using vitamins will make the run, at least in the early game, a lot harder than if I grinded out every last effort value. Now mind you, this is not a perfect solution. In Gen 4, a vitamin can only get a single effort value up to 100, not the real max of 255. So we get to skip making 200 Pokemon faint, but we still need to take out the other 310. And I did that by just keeping count on my browser while I played. I opened up like a counter calculator thing. I made 1 category for Shinx, 1 for Starly, and I just added 1 to each count whenever I made 1 faint. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't beating too much of one and not enough of the other, so I needed to have the two different ones. The encounter rate of Shinx was much higher than Starly on this route though, so by the time I hit 155 Shinx, I only made 75 Starly faint. That's because Shinx has a 30% encounter rate regardless of the time of day, but in Platinum, Starly only has 10% encounter rate here. That's why partway through the grind, I moved back to Route 201, where the encounter rate is 40 instead, much higher. By all means, this should have taken like 2 or 3 hours, but thanks to the magic of speed up, this only took 32 minutes. It's far from the longest grind I've ever had to do in a Pokemon challenge, like, not even close. That probably goes to stuff like Pokemon Black with first form bug types, where I spent more than a full workday just grinding in the Elite Four. But at least that was a run where I knew I could win eventually. All of this time and effort was put into just making sure that our chances was the best it can be in a challenge, where I'm pretty sure we're gonna lose no matter what anyway. And there's parts of this run later on that I know are gonna be horrible in their own way and much harder than this grind. We have to go off the beaten path a lot in this run if we want to stand any kind of chance, from getting TMs I don't normally get, getting items I don't normally get, and just having a hard time with trainers that probably never were an issue before. So if you enjoy the show, and you want to pay me back in some way for all the time and effort, then just a like, a comment, or hyping the video does go a long way. If you want to see these videos early, then checking out my Patreon or YouTube members page will get you some fun rewards, like early viewing links for these videos, as well as other perks. And even just taking time to check out some of the non-Pokemon challenge videos on this channel would mean a lot to me. I've Let's Played literally hundreds of video games for the last 15 years, and I've also done Let's Plays of a lot of Pokemon games with me and my friend, and recently I started my first ever Nuzlocke, and I've been having a lot of fun with that. I've also done some challenges in Bethesda games like Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas. But if you're just interested in the Pokemon stuff, links are in the description. At the end of the effort value grind, here's our stats. We're level 16 with an attack of 51 and a speed of 29. Now, I know those don't seem like crazy stats for level 16, but you gotta keep in mind that effort values matter more by the end of the game than they do near the start. I'm just happy that this grind was against incredibly low-leveled Pokemon, so our level actually isn't too crazy. Let's hope that all of that time was worth it. Now it's time to start the journey. We got the rival to sweep and a rock gym to go lose at. You know, obviously we can't lose this first rival fight since he doesn't seem to have any moves that can pass Wonder Guard, but it really doesn't make me feel good that even after all that grinding, we didn't one-shot Chimchar. We are absolutely gonna get slaughtered at the rock gym. Well, I used Fury Swipes on the Geodude, he took a little bit of damage, then we feinted to a rock throw. Yeah, I don't think the odds of him missing that the entire fight are very good. We also can't learn any moves that help us in the fight, and we don't get any better moves by level up until all the way at level 38. I mean, I guess if our effort values are maxed out, then there's no harm in rare candies at least, so I'll just slowly gain levels and keep trying until we stand a chance. Level 23. Yeah, we do very slightly more damage, and then we feint instantly to rock throw again. Alright, go ahead and make a guess on what level we can win at. I'm gonna say like somewhere between 35 and 38. What a horrible start to the run. Level 28. Well, we again did very slightly more damage. I mean, if we hit 3 Fury Swipes, he missed, and then we did it again, we could take out Geodude, but I'm sure we'd lose to Onix. That thing has crazy defense, there's no way I could take that out in 2 rounds. Level 35, this time we hit 4 Fury Swipes, and it was just strong enough to take out Geodude. Cranidos goes down in 1 round of Fury Swipes. Then we have Onix, who survives and hits Rock Throw to take us out. Look, I could try this 20 more times and eventually win if Fury Swipes just hit enough times on every single one of them, but what good does that do us? I'm gonna get 3 more levels to learn Shadow Sneak, and then we're probably gonna sweep them. We have way more interesting fights to lose at later in the run, and I'm sure you guys want to see those already. Alright, so we get Shadow Sneak at level 38, and we sweep them easily. Now it's finally time to do some interesting fights. So we have Commander Mars and the Grass Gym coming up. Off the top of my head, I don't think the Grass Gym leader has any moves that can hit us, but I could be misremembering. Maybe I'll get poisoned or something. Mars could be a problem, though. We can't use Shadow Sneak against Perugly, and I think it's got a Dark move. Or maybe a Ghost one. I'm not sure, but either way, it would one-shot us. The Zubat could use Toxic, and that would make us faint, but I'm pretty confident that'll be a one-shot, so we shouldn't have to worry about it. I wonder when the next point in the run will be that we get really stuck. not just something where we have to try 2 or 3 times for a move to miss. Well, we travel there though. Now's a great time to tell you about this video's sponsor, Factor Meals. Factor Meals is a service where you can get awesome meals delivered right to your door. These are fresh, never frozen, chef-prepared meals that were made fresh that week. You can pick from several meal plans to cater to your personal tastes and needs. Chef's Choice, Vegan, Keto, Protein Plus, and Calorie Smart. I always go with Protein Plus personally. It's really filling and it makes it easy to reach my protein goals. Plus, they recently doubled their menu size and added all kinds of new seafood and protein options. What you get in the box is 6 to 18 chef-prepared packaged meals that have never been frozen. How many you get is up to you when you sign up. Preparing your meal is about as fast as it can be. Each package has both microwave and oven instructions on them, with it taking about 2 to 3 minutes in the microwave and about 10 to 15 in the oven. It literally could not be more convenient. No prep time, no cleanup, just great food. The other week, I was trying this lemon rosemary grilled chicken with roasted baby potatoes. Now, I knew I would love this because their potatoes and chicken are always great, but the carrots were a sleeper hit. They still had crunch to them, but weren't so hard that they didn't mix in well with the rest of the meal. The whole thing was perfectly seasoned, the chicken was tender as it always is, and you're just not going to find a better meal to heat up in under 15 minutes than these. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code MDBFB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code MDBFB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Thanks to Factor Meals for sponsoring this video. Go show them some love at the link at the top of the video description. Now let's go do this fighting gym. It should be pretty easy. Alright, so Mars wasn't an issue, thankfully. We just one-shot swept their entire team. Hey, I don't know why I didn't think of this until now, but couldn't I have just used Return at the Rock Gym? That might have worked. I guess it's too late now. I mean, my friendship was definitely maxed out by all the grinding. And next is the grass gym, and of course, we just swept the whole thing. Look, I'm sure you remember this if you watched my Shedinja runs from 5 and 6 years ago respectively, but Shedinja battles are kind of fast and boring to recap. Either we one-shot sweep everything, or they hit us once and we lose. There isn't really much back and forth or close calls in a solo Shedinja run. It's kind of just interesting seeing where the brick walls are. Well, we've got Jupiter, the Ghost Gym, and our rival coming up. I'm pretty sure Jupiter won't be an issue. I think she's got moves that can hit us, but I think we'll sweep her first. And I know for sure the Ghost Gym could beat us with something like Will-O-Wisp or Dark Pulse or Shadow Claw. I have no doubts that we're going to sweep them with Shadow Sneak first, though. I guess the only thing to worry about is that rival fight where it's possible that we could lose. I really don't remember if he's got anything to worry about, but I'm sure he's got some flying and fire moves by now. Will we just one-shot him? Not sure. Let's find out. Well, I try the Jupiter fight. Zubat is a one-shot, but Skuntank is nowhere close to a one-shot with Shadow Sneak, so we just get hit and faint. Okay, well, maybe Scratch will work. So I try again, and Scratch did a little more than half her health and damage, but she ate a berry and healed back up. Alright, I don't want to just overlevel for everything. I'm learning Return. We need it sooner or later anyway. Alright, there we go. That time it was a one-shot. Let's go sweep that Ghost Gym. Yep, we sure did sweep that Ghost Gym. I mean, come on, what am I supposed to say? I know you guys have requested more Shedinja runs for a long time, but this is what, like, every fight looks like when you're using a Shedinja. It's just a really weird Pokemon. Hey, at least that gets us the TM for a better Ghost move in Shadow Claw. May as well learn it now. It's one of our strongest moves. Last is our rival, and although he's a sweep, he had a Roselia at the end. It would have been funny if Poison Point had got us. I don't think it would have done anything since we wouldn't take damage on the winning round, but you could consider it a warning shot, or maybe foreshadowing if that ends up getting us later down the line. Alright, well, that was easy, but the farther we get, the more type variety the opponents will have, and thus the more danger we're in. So we have the Fighting Gym, the Rival, and the Water Gym. I know that our Rival has moves that can hit us, but I figure he's still a sweep, and I think the Fighting Gym might not be a threat. The Water Gym I know for sure could go badly since Intimidate's going to lower our attack, and I know that some of his team has Crunch and maybe Bite. It's a dark move so it can hit us. Now I can pick up some TMs soon for Dig and Aerial Ace, so at least we have some more type variety if that helps us in any of these fights. But I know it's not going to help us in the Water Gym, and that's the one I'm most worried about. Who knows though, we're pretty high level, so I might just end up sweeping them. I kind of doubt it though, but we won't know until we get there. Oh wait, we have a roadblock on the way. This random trainer has Drifblim, a Pokemon with Aftermath. It does damage to us if one of our damaging moves makes it faint, so I guess the only way to win would be to make it take itself out with confusion damage. Not only that, but it can make us faint in one move since it's got Ominous Wind and Gust. I mean, I see a solution, but it's not an easy one. I have to sit here trying over and over and over, confusing him, and then using Sand Attack to lower his accuracy, and I just have to hope that I can last so long that he makes himself faint. Now, on the bright side, I think that this is the only fight in the game where I'm required to fight something that has Aftermath, but this is still awful. So I spent 20 straight minutes trying over and over and over with Turbo Speed turned on, hoping to get him to make himself faint with confusion damage. I had some close calls that ended with me fainting anyway, but eventually we did get it to work. And you know what happened? The Buizel right after was faster than us and one-shot us. Alright, with all that time wasted, I'm gonna rare candy all the way up from level 44 to 50, because I cannot afford to be slower again. This is with Quick Claw, by the way. I've just been really unlucky. After playing a little bit here and there off and on for a good chunk of the day, I finally got this attempt after a little over an hour of just grinding out attempts on Fast Forward, where he fainted again, and this time we were faster than Buizel, and we won. This actually took more than twice as long as grinding our effort values, and it was way more frustrating. So once again, hype the video if you wanna, like the video if you wanna, follow me on Twitter or something. I just wanna go make some progress now. Alright, so first is the fighting gym, where I'm pretty sure that they had no moves that could hit us, so although we didn't one-shot Lucario, we never got hit. Hey, you know how we just got done being brick-walled? It's happening again. The double battle alongside Dawn against those grunts that I never show because it's incredibly easy, and no matter what we do, the surviving Zubat will make us faint. I actually think I have to go get the TM for Double Team just because of this fight. This run is insane. So I get Double Team, and then I try this fight over and over. I can get several attempts in per minute thanks to speed up, but I wouldn't call it fast. Once in a blue moon, they attack Clefairy a bit instead of us, but it's rare. Most of the time, they both target us, and Clefairy hardly helps us. Now, the odds of them both missing us once we've used one Double Team is really low, but it's a little easier if one of them misses us and then the other attacks Clefairy, and that does happen sometimes. The thing is that most of the time that we survive the first round, we knock one Zubat out and then the other one just hits us. It's funny because in the first 5 minutes we had an attempt where we lasted 2 full rounds thanks to the surviving Zubat missing us on round 2, but the Krogunk right after just came out and hit us with Pursuit on the 3rd round. Then it was back to tons of failed attempts. Most attempts don't make it past to the first round. It's actually quite rare that I do. And in the first few hundred tries, we only got to round 3 once. Now, while I'm grinding out attempts, it's a great time to bring up something that someone actually pointed out to me on Twitter when I was complaining on Twitter about the Drifblim fight. Apparently, Aftermath only works if it's a contact move that knocks him out, so I could have used Shadow Ball. When I looked it up on Bulbapedia, it does say contact moves. I'm just blind, I missed that part, I only saw the direct damage part. I guess the problem is that it would require that we be level 59 to learn Shadow Ball since the TM isn't until much later, and I don't have any other non-contact moves that we could have learned at that point. So my strategy allowed me to do the fight at a much lower level. In retrospect, should I have just leveled to 59 to save over an hour of wasted time? Yeah, probably, but I don't really regret it. Stuff like this fight and that previous fight, as tedious and awful as they are to play, is what makes a Shedinja run interesting. When you think about this video in a couple months, you're not gonna remember me saying, yup, the fighting gym was a sweep. You're gonna think, hey, remember that time MDB had to fight those rocket grunts in Veilstone hundreds of times just to get them to miss a few rounds? That's the fun part. Again, not fun to play that part. I mean, I'm having fun voicing it over later because I don't need to suffer through it anymore. It's fun to watch that part because it makes it interesting. Anyway, after a billion tries with Turbo Speed on, I finally got a win. The text was moving so incredibly fast that I'm not totally sure if they just missed us a bunch or if they targeted Clefairy, but we won! I know this looks insane, but in reality, I looked at the total of all the footage. It was only a little over 15 minutes. Again, I can't stress how important speed up is in a challenge like this. This could have taken hours without it, and if I had been resetting the game every time instead of loading a save state to right before the fight, that would have been another hour on top of it. But I mean, you saw the footage. This is 15 minutes of footage, and I tried hundreds of times. Speed up is an absolute lifesaver. Now, if I had an auto-fire button that worked on this emulator along with it, that would have been beautiful, but no, I had to mash the A button through all of this, which, a little rough on my thumb, probably really rough on my controller. Oh my god. The next trainer on the way to the next town has a Drifblim. I really don't want to spend another hour doing the Confuse Ray thing again, but if I level up and replace Shadow Claw with Shadow Ball, then I'll have a worse move the entire run. Maybe I can go around it from Hearthome? Nope, never-ending TV reporter is in the way. Alright, well, I don't have much of a choice. I guess I'll replace Shadow Claw and have a worse move the whole run. I really hope this doesn't come back to bite us later. Cool, Shadow Ball worked so I didn't get knocked out on the random trainer, and naturally after those billions of level ups, our rival was a sweep. Is the rival gym gonna be, though? I know our levels are crazy high, but Water Onyx has Intimidate. That alone might not let us take him out in one hit. And again, if we get hit once, we faint. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Return was not close to a knockout, and we got bit. Shadow Ball was even weaker than Return. I guess I can try a few times until he hits himself in Confusion twice. Maybe then I could win. Alright, well you know what, that wasn't so bad. It only took 2 tries before he hit himself in Confusion twice. After that, we swept his team, although we actually crit Return on both of his other Pokemon. I don't really think it was necessary, though. Maybe it could have been for Quagsire, though. He could have hit Rock Tomb if he survived, so we may have gotten lucky there. Alright, after that nightmare was the last chunk of the run. I think we might actually have a few easy fights. I mean, I can say that, but will it actually be easy? Who knows, any random trainer might have something that I just can't deal with, but I don't think that Cyrus or our rival are going to be that hard. The Steel Gym could be, though. I don't think Magneton can hit us, but Steelix can start a Sandstorm, and Bastiodon has Stone Edge. A Sandstorm would absolutely take us out, no questions asked. And Stone Edge is inaccurate, but it would obviously make us faint if it does hit. Maybe I could double team at the start against Magneton, but I figure he's gonna switch away, and if he's switching into Steelix, then I'm gonna need that free hit of Return or Shadow Ball to start to deal enough damage ahead of time. It's not like I can one-shot him before the Sandstorm starts, after all. Really, no matter what my strategy is, I figure I'm gonna have to level up like crazy before I can win this fight. Then we have to travel to the Ice Gym, and I don't even know if that's possible with this moveset, but I guess we'll worry about that when we get closer. Alright, first is Cyrus, but he's an easy sweep. I'm pretty sure that he will be the whole game. Normally he can be kinda tough, but his team isn't super tanky, so I just overpower them. After that is our rival, and I thought that this would be a sweep, but it actually wasn't. Infernape survived Return, so we got taken out. I guess I have to use Confuse Ray next time. This shouldn't take long, though. Alright, so it took 3 more tries because sometimes Staraptor isn't a one-shot either, but it didn't take long before Infernape hit himself, and we won easily. I still think we're losing at the Steel Gym for a while, though. And guess what? We didn't even make it to the Steel Gym leader. We're stuck on this trainer you have to go through who has 2 Steelix, and the first one usually uses Sandstorm. Once in a blue moon, it doesn't, and we get past it, and then the second one uses Sandstorm. We needed them to not use it for 6 rounds in a row. It took a good 10 minutes on speed up before that finally happened. This challenge is gonna hit some kind of record for showing you the most trainers that I've never needed to show you before in any other run, because they aren't normally a problem. This is very confusing. I get to Byron and I never could have seen this coming. Magneton switches to Steelix, obviously. We do almost no damage. But then he switched away from Steelix to go to Bastiodon, and I have no idea why. Steelix could have used Sandstorm like the other one did earlier in the gym, and I'd have fainted. I used Confuse Ray and Double Team, but we got hit, so it didn't matter. How weird was that, though? Hey, if he's gonna do that again, then I'm gonna just spend the first couple turns using Double Team. Alright, this is crazy. So every time I fight him, he switches between his Pokemon until he gets to Bastiodon. So I just use 6 Double Teams and wait for him to run out of Stone Edges. Then we slowly make him faint as he taunts us. But as soon as Steelix comes back in, he uses Sandstorm and we faint. If he's gonna just choose to use his only non-damaging move, since the rest would miss anyway, then we're in a very bad situation because that's his only non-direct damage move. And it's a move that's an auto loss for us. We don't have any way around that. You can't dodge a sandstorm. We can't use dig to beat him because he would just sandstorm while we're underground, and then we'll get hit with that as soon as we come out. I genuinely might need to be level 100 and land a crit before this is possible. I don't really see any other solution. So I get to level 80 and fail a ton of tries to get Stone Edge to miss. Eventually it does, and we take out Bastiodon, we fight Steelix again, and I hardly do any more damage and we faint to Sandstorm. This is such a bad situation. At this point, it's pretty obvious that we might need to be level 100, but even then, I think I would still need a crit. Maybe I could confuse him and he might waste a turn or two, then we might not need a crit, but man, it's hard to say. I think this is another one of those fights where I'm just going to be trying over and over. Here's our stats at level 100, by the way. It's not bad. Because we know our exact effort values, I was able to check my IVs, and it's pretty good in everything. Nearly everything is in the 20s, so although it's not literally a perfect Shedinja, it's not all that far off. Our special attack is way lower than our attack, but I'm relying mostly on return. I guess that I'll try the Steel Gym fight a million times now. A high level doesn't really help us against Bastiodon, but it might help us a little bit on being able to beat Steelix in less hits. That said, I think that no matter what, this is going to be an extremely long fight. I'm expecting this to take around how long it took to beat Drifblim earlier. You know what? This fight may have been awful, but it wasn't as horrible as the Zubat fight. We lost a million times thanks to Stone Edge hitting us and Sandstorm taking us out, and even sometimes we'd get taunted so we can't confuse Ray on Steelix. But eventually Steelix hit himself twice, he used a full restore, we confused him again, he hit himself again, and then we took him out with some Shadow Balls. The Magnemite at the end couldn't hit us, so after about 11 minutes of trying the fight in turbo speed, we won. You'll notice I did this at level 80, by the way, not 100. It's because I got to level 100 with rare candies and tried the fight at level 100, did slightly more damage, but then I forgot to save at level 100, so I was level 80 again when I restarted the emulator. I did a bunch of tries before I actually noticed the problem, but by the time that I noticed that I was level 80 again, I was pretty sure that I could actually win at that level with this strategy if I got a special defense drop with Shadow Ball. Now, in the end, it actually wasn't a special defense drop that saved us. It was just well-timed confusion damage, but that's pretty cool. I think that we're gonna get brick-walled before the next gym, though. There's Hail up north, and I'm pretty sure that some of those trainer fights are mandatory. Yeah, this is what I thought would happen. As soon as we get to a mandatory trainer fight where they have more than one Pokemon, we faint to Hail. Alright, well, I have the TM for Sunny Day. I'm gonna learn Sunny Day and use it to get past this so that I can get to the gym. I'm gonna get rid of Confuse Ray since I can get that back at the relearner if I need to, but man, it's scary to get rid of a move that useful. That move has saved us in several fights up to this point. Alright, thankfully, that easily got us to the Ice Gym and we swept the place. I know some of you are probably worried since Abomasnow whips up Hail when he comes out, but she sends him out last, and you don't take damage from weather on the same turn that you win the fight, so it was pretty easy with return. It makes sense, Abomasnow is a grass type, they know that I'm a bug type, so it's what they're going to send in last. But we have Cyrus next, then the double battle on the mountain, and then Cyrus again. For once in my life, I'm actually more worried about the double battle than the Cyrus fight. Even if we can one-shot sweep, the double battles mean that we're leaving opportunities open for another Pokemon that has a move to hit us. But we'll see, maybe it won't be that bad. Alright, well, thankfully, the next Cyrus fight was another sweep. Some of the trainers in the hideout were annoying because they had Sucker Punch, and that would make me faint. But that's their only move that could hit me, so I could just use 6 double teams and then make them faint, as they miss their only chance at Sucker Punch. That move only works if we're doing a damaging move after all, so they can't do anything if we're double teaming. The actual Cyrus fight was easy. Well, I went up the mountain, I had to fight this double battle that I normally never show, but after losing 5 times to Sucker Punch, I figured I kinda have to. It's not a big deal, it seems like the moves that they pick are almost totally random. So after one double team and a missed Night Slash, we pretty easily just spammed return to take them out. I just tried to have my HM Pokemon pick their worst moves so that it would influence the fight as little as possible. It's a mandatory fight, there's nothing you can really do about this. Alright, right after that is the double battle alongside our rival, and this was crazy. I tried over and over and over, and I kept fainting because they would use Rock Slide right away and make us faint. I did an unreal amount of attempts with double team spam to try and stay alive, and a few times we made it pretty far, until I randomly tried using Return first instead of double team, and they literally never did any moves that could hit us. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure the other Bronzor still had moves that it could use on us. It just didn't use them, and then we won. Was it very stupid? Yes, but I'm taking the win. Still faster than the Zubat fight earlier. Alright, well, we got to the Cyrus fight. Most of it is a sweep, but then Crobat is faster than us and takes us out in one hit. That's not the end of the world, though. I'll just hold a Quick Claw, and I'm sure we can get the one-shot on it once we're faster. Alright, well, 4 tries later, and Quick Claw let us beat Crobat. Water Onix isn't a one-shot because of Intimidate, but I guess that he has no moves that can hit us since he uses Waterfall. We easily took him out after he used a full Restore. And finally after that is the Electric Gym, but it was just a sweep as well. Man, it feels good to finally be making some progress again. I guess there's just a rival fight between us and the Elite Four, so let's go get that over with. Well, as expected, we sweep his whole team, and that's with his Staraptor messing up our attack at the start, so that's pretty impressive. Feels good to finally get this far. Now that we're at the Elite Four, let's take a look at our stats. Again, how weird is this? This has got to be the first time ever in 6 years of doing challenges where I've shown you the level 100 stats screen, then later in the run, we're at a lower level. I mean, we're level 95, so I may as well just top up to 100 at this point. I'm still sitting here thinking the Bertha fight might be impossible because of the Sandstorm, and her also having moves that can hit us while we're trying to change it with Sunny Day, but who knows. Maybe I'm gonna get a chance to use Double Team before that. I haven't had the luck of the game giving me a Focus Sash from that dude who gives random belts, and I can't get my hands on Lax Incense, Bright Powder, or a Focus Band to help us take a hit or maybe make them miss, because all those are in the post-game. And I can't think of any other thing I could get to help here. I think if this is possible or not entirely depends on how Bertha acts. Like, if Whiscash just uses Sandstorm manually right away, then we have to make it faint on the first turn for it to do that, but if we make it faint and then it switches into Hippowdon, then we still faint on the first round. If that's the case, then this will be impossible. But who knows? Maybe it won't do that, maybe I can use a Double Team at some point, maybe it's not going to switch into Hippowdon right away, maybe it'll be Gliscor or Rhyperior or Golem, and then we could maybe do something with Double Team there and prepare ourselves. I don't really know yet. It's still very likely that we lose to Bertha, but we won't know until I try. Make your final guesses on if we can win this or not. Let's do this. First is Bug Trainer Aaron. Well, I kind of thought that this would be a sweep, but Scizor survived with the tiniest of tiny slivers of all time and hit Night Slash. I mean, I guess I could just try a few times and I'd probably win. Alright, perfect. Very next try, and he's a one-shot, so we just sweep the whole fight. Now it's time to answer the question that I've been wondering since the moment I put this on my challenge to-do list. The question I've been wondering about, off and on, for like 6 years. Can I beat Bertha? Second is Ground Trainer Bertha. And guys, I think this is possible. This is the first few tries. Yes, sometimes Whiscash opens with Sandstorm and we obviously lose, but sometimes it switches on its first turn to Gliscor. Now, her only Pokemon that doesn't have a move that can hit us is Whiscash, so it's gonna use Sandstorm if that's the last Pokemon, but I think we can one-shot it, so that's not a problem. No other Pokemon on her team is gonna start a Sandstorm through the actual Sandstorm move, because they'll just use a Rock or Fire move to go for the knockout. Yes, Hippowdon will start a Sandstorm automatically when it comes out, but we can use Sunny Day for that. Now, if we can get enough Double Teams in at the start, then we could possibly actually get through this fight. Now, it's only going to be maybe 1 in every dozen tries where we can get 6 Double Teams in early against Gliscor, and any Pokemon that we can't one-shot like Golem is still going to get chances to hit us. And of course, Hippowdon gets his free chance to hit us because we have to spend a turn using Sunny Day. But honestly, this still might take less time than the Drifblim fight early in the run. Unless there's something I haven't accounted for, I think I can actually do this. Man, you wouldn't believe this unless I had it on recording, I swear. I recorded a bunch of attempts, and I quickly realized this fight is really weird and random. She almost always switches to Gliscor, but not always. Sometimes she switches to Hippowdon and we instantly faint to Sandstorm, and once in a blue moon she sends in Golem instead. No matter what, we have to use 6 Double Teams in a row, and during that process is when I usually faint. But a few times we got all 6 in and started using Return, just to eventually get hit by a random move. But on this final run, we get 6 in, we kept attacking with Return to take everything out, Hippowdon comes out last, we use Sunny Day to get rid of the Sandstorm right away, she misses, and we won. Guys, it only took me 5 minutes. Legit. This took less than half as long as fighting those 2 Zubats. This took less than half the time of the Steel Gym. This took a tiny fraction of how long it took me to get a Drifblim to take itself out with confusion damage. This was straight up easy by comparison to so many moments in this run. I thought this could have been impossible. I mean, I shouldn't get my hopes up too much. I might faint to Flint, but I can't believe we won. Third is Fire Trainer Flint. Alright, well, we were sweeping them until we got burned off Flame Body on Meg Mortar, and we fainted from that. It's fine. That can't happen every time. I'll just try a handful of times, and then this should be a win. Alright, very next try, and we don't get burned and easily win. You think Lucian will be easy? Because I could see Bronzong not being a one-shot. Fourth is Psychic Trainer Lucian. Alright, well, I figure the vast majority of his team doesn't have any moves that can hit us, because pretty much nothing happened. Super easy fight. Can't believe we made it this far. I'm almost in shock. This is really gonna be a win, isn't it? I held off on doing this challenge for years because I just assumed it was literally impossible. Finally, Pokemon Champion Cynthia. This is an awful start. If I had Shadow Claw, then I'm sure this would just be a one-shot, but we have Shadow Ball, so even with it critting us on the first try, we don't take our Spiritomb and it one-shots us. Am I really gonna have to do double team spam on the very first Pokemon? Because that's not easy. Never mind, second try, and this time I just grabbed X-Scissor. We crit for a one-shot, but I doubt the crit was required. Second is Togekiss, who was also a one-shot. Third is Garchomp, though, and it survived with a good amount of health left and then one-shot us with Flamethrower. I bet we could one-shot it with X-Scissor. Let me try that again. Okay, so I tried the fight again. X-Scissor didn't need to crit Spiritomb, but it looks like it actually does need to crit Garchomp. Again, I'm not worried. All I need to do is try this fight until I crit. What's the crit chance in this again? Like 124? It's nothing compared to some of the fights I had to do earlier. I'm sure this will take no time at all. So after 34 failed tries in a row, many of them where I dropped him to a sliver without a crit, we crit and he went down. The problem is next is Lucario, who we can't just one-shot and who takes us out with Stone Edge. Man, that was the last Pokemon that can hit us. Stone Edge misses 20% of the time too. If I need a crit and for that to miss, then maybe Double Team makes more sense. Man, I wish I had the good sense to bring Silver Powder to power up X-Scissor. That would take some randomness out of the fight, but I can't go back for it now. That would mean redoing the Bertha fight. So as you can see, the new strategy is to use Double Team once at the start of the fight every time until Spiritomb misses, then I do the fight as normal. I probably should have been doing this in the first place, because the chance of 2 Pokemon missing after one Double Team is still a lot more likely than a crit. So I was getting past Garchomp a lot more often once doing this strategy. What matters though is that one of the times that I got past Garchomp, Lucario finally missed his Stone Edge. Part of that is his low accuracy, but I'm sure the one Double Team helped. We took it out, then it was Roserade who can't hit us, so it was a one-shot. Last is Melodic, who's also a one-shot. I actually did it. I actually just beat Pokemon Platinum with one Shedinja. Man, I can't believe how that went. Yeah, it was really brutal at a lot of parts. It wasn't at all easy, and it was pretty stressful at times, but you know what? By far the longest video I'll ever get out of a Shedinja run. It had the most interesting battles, the strangest brick walls, and the most satisfying moment when I actually made it past Bertha. This is the longest script I've written in ages just because of how many interesting fights there were. Normally, Shedinja videos are kind of boring because every fight is just, and then I swept them. But this was different. Mind you, I really doubt that I could make an interesting Shedinja run in any further game after this. I mean, in Gen 5, whether it be Black or Black 2, it doesn't matter. There's a mandatory fight where there's a sandstorm early on, and I'm pretty sure that that would take me out. I don't know, it's probably not possible in any other game, to be honest. I really hope you guys like that run. The next Pokemon Challenge should be up next week on Saturday, like usual, with one you guys picked on a poll. Heart Gold with only one Krabby. As always, I'm looking at your suggestions in the comments in the Challenge Quest section of my Discord channel and on Twitter. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. Outro time? Man, Oh, I still, like, it's been a week since I did the run now. I'm doing the voiceover, and I still kind of can't believe that I actually won that one. That was crazy. For so long, I just figured it was impossible. Because, you know, there's the Sandstorm that auto-starts later in the fight, and I knew that her first Pokemon, the Whiscash, has Sandstorm. I kind of just figured he would be using that, and, like, yeah, I used it a little bit. But it wasn't until I got my hands on the run that I realized that often, if they don't have a direct damage move, but someone else on their team does, most of the time they don't use their weather move. They just switch to the other Pokemon, and you know, that gives me a free turn to use one double team. As soon as I have one double team in, it's at least possible. And I'm so happy that I did the effort value grinding, because if I didn't have that crazy high attack, it would take a lot more hits to make these things faint, and the odds of actually winning would go down pretty drastically. Maybe it would still be possible in some of these cases, but you know, there's fights where I was probably barely getting a one-shot, where if my attack was a little bit lower, it may not have been possible. I'm not totally sure about that. That's the kind of thing that you might have to look into yourself, though. Man, I can't believe I won that one. That's, this is probably the coolest run that I've done in a few years, which is, I don't know, that's fun. And I'm really excited to edit this one so that you guys can see it. Real quick, though, $50 supporter shoutout tier over on Patreon and the YouTube members. Thank you so much, Jacob Busby, Javid Kosaro, Grayson Fitz, Tara Louise, Alexandra Hedgeblog, Joel Mann, Dark Soul, Young Smoky VP, Cal Anderson, Crystal Sunrise, and Gabriel Thornton. I can't do this without your support. Legit. I don't know how I could afford to dump this much time into one run if I didn't know that I had you guys backing me up on the Patreon and the YouTube members thing, helping make sure that I can afford to spend this much time on a singular run and not just have to speed through and pump through videos faster, you know? This was still a pretty long run, even if a lot of fights were one-shot sweeps, you know? The individual attempts may not have taken all that long, but there were many, many attempts. Anyway, I hope you guys have been enjoying the Nuzlocke going up on the channel. I hope you guys have also been enjoying Pokemon Ultra Moon A Journey. I've been having a lot of fun with that, and in fact, I'm going to be recording more of that this very week that I'm recording this voiceover. But it's almost 4 p.m. and I have not eaten anything yet, and this was a very long voiceover. Went about 52, 53 minutes. Who knows what it'll be after I cut out all the flubs and everything, but yeah, it looks like this is about as long as last week's Pokemon Emerald with only Dark-type run in terms of the voiceover. I'm gonna go get some food in me. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.